X4 Foundation has just launched, and it is a difficult game to get started with. So to help you out, I have, together with the help from the community, collected 5 tips that will hopefully help you get over that initial learning period. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to X4 Foundation with Down to Earth Astronomy. The learning curve in this game is quite brutal, and it doesn't really hold your hand, it doesn't help you much out in the early stages. I was lucky to have the help from the community as I was live streaming my first few hours in the game, and I picked up a lot of good tips from you guys, and I've collected some of those together to try and help you get started in the early stages, at least some of the information that I found the most useful when I started out. First, we're going to have a look at the tutorials. If you press the H key, you'll get a list of available tutorials. Now, if you're running these, they can be helpful to kind of familiarize yourself with the controls and some of the base game mechanics. But other than that, they have limited use. They are very difficult to follow, I think, because they have this text box you need to read that only shows for a constant period of time that pops up various locations on screen. You don't have a chance to just sit down, read it at your own pace, and then click next. It shows, it moves around. So sometimes it can be a little difficult to follow what is going on. So keep an eye on those text boxes, and when you're learning the game, I found it to be a lot easier learning the game by simply just trying out, basically pushing all the buttons you can find and all the different menus and see what's there. But again, know that the tutorials are there and they can be used for a quick overview of what's available in the game and to get you familiarized with how to actually control the game. The second tip is all about missions. Now, when I started the game, I spent an hour or an hour and a half trying to get myself familiar with the controls and the ships and how I dock at stations and that kind of stuff. But quickly I was looking for things to do. And I had a really hard time figuring out how you actually pick up a mission. I was trying to talk to NPCs and no one really had anything to offer. So the way you pick up missions is you go close to stations. Around stations you will be able to pick up missions. You then open up your map, and inside your map you will have a list of available missions to you, and you can then pick them up from there. The mission tutorial here does help a little bit, but you can also pick up missions from signals. So if you open up your scanner mode and you find these signals, which often looks like broken wires on outside the stations, if you come across these, they can also lead you to missions. So there are various ways you can pick up missions, and it kind of gives you a purpose, and it helps you make some credit early game, because this was one of the most difficult things I think at the beginning, to figure out how do I actually get started, how do I get the cash flow rolling. So the missions is a very good place to start. But the map interface is probably a place where you'll be spending a large amount of time in the game. So open it up from time to time and keep an eye on that mission tab to see if anything interesting pops up. So the third tip is locate the highway and take a trip around the area. Now, the maps that you play with, as far as I understand, are different for everybody. So you can't just take a map and then say this is the map of X4. It's different for every player. Somewhere in the map there should be a highway, and you can find this by first of all starting the sector that you're in, begin looking for these jump gates between different sectors within the regions, or you can, and if you go far enough out, eventually you will come across this highway shown as 2 blue like holographic lines going through space, and this allows you to travel around the area extremely quickly. And once I located this, I was getting stuck somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, and I was trying to get back. But on my way back on that highway, I located a ton of stations, and this was really just opened up the game to me. That suddenly I got access to stations with new ships, I got access to a load of various manufacturing plants, I got access to a ton of stuff that I otherwise wouldn't have access to. And this was really the point when I feel like now the game has really started for me, after I took that trip around the highway. So I really recommend that you early on take a little sightseeing tour and take a trip around the highway, just so you begin to get an overview of what is around you, how your map is laid out, and what kind of stations and manufacturing plants are available to you. And the fourth tip is use your navigation beacons. If you open up the ship main menu, you have the option to launch a nav beacon. This serves as waypoints for you that you can always plot a route to, and even if you haven't discovered the required gates to get back, your ship computer will still be able to guide you back through the fastest route to that location. So if you are ever afraid of getting stuck somewhere, let's say you're running through like a wormhole or anything like that, that will spawn you out somewhere random in space, it's really a good idea to have a waypoint where you started so that the ship on board computer can guide you back, so you don't get stuck out in the middle of nowhere without any ways of getting back. So use those nav beacons, they are really, really useful. And the fifth and final tip is actually a combination of several tips, but overall it is just keep going. The game is frustrating in the beginning. I found it very frustrating within the first 1 or 2 hours, but after I kind of began to got used to the game, got used to the controls, the game got more and more enjoyable. For me, it took about 3 to 4 hours, but I had the help from the chat, so because I was live streaming it. So of course it might take a little bit longer for you. But what I suggest you really do is, if you get stuck or if something does not make sense, there is a lot of already very experienced players that has been playing the previous games, and a lot of the things seems to be the same. So find yourself your favorite source of information. There's an official forum, you might be able to pick up some help there. There is Reddit, I'm pretty sure you can find some help over there. You can also go to YouTube and find someone who makes tutorial videos, hint hint, who might put out a video about various aspects of the game. I'm at least planning to, so if you want to have a little bit of help as I learned the game as well, go down and hit that subscribe button. And the final tip, and that's probably a very, very important tip, it's kind of I wanted to throw that in, but it is save often. The game does autosave, but it doesn't do that very often. And that means if you get stuck somewhere, if you do something that you didn't intend to, or let's say the game crashes or anything like that, your progress will be lost if you haven't saved. So save often. So that was my 5 and a bit tips that I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know if you're an experienced player, if you already played a lot of the X series games, and if you have other tips that you feel like I missed. Put them down in the comment section below. And if you're a newer player to the X series game, maybe you should also drop down in the comment section and see what other people have been posted, because you might be able to pick up an extra few tips down there. But anyway, if you want more X4 content, go down and hit that subscribe button. I really hope that you liked today's video. Give it a like, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.